don't know if there is an answer to that. You know, there's a couple of ways, and this is going to be up to the commission. You know, there's several ways of doing this. One is you just mandate only so many and come up with some criteria for that. The other thing is you set standards, you make the standards higher than they are today. And frankly, there's probably some that, you know, maybe a number of them will not be able to meet those standards. But that's something that I don't go into this with any idea of saying there should be this many. I think that's something that the commission is going to have to figure out. You know, I'm not wedded to anything in this. What I am wedded to is that there be supervision, adequate supervision for each academy that we actually allow to be academy, and frankly that the academies do some pre-screening. It's just not fair to someone, you know, to take their money and you know, when the odds of them graduating are not very high at all. We've had that same issue in colleges. So it's no different than these academies. It's just not fair to them, and it makes no sense, and it just costs more money for supervision to deal with students who, you know, have very low chance of ever turn out to be police officers. I mean, just so everybody understands, with an open academy system, someone goes there and they complete the 605 hours, and they take the test, and they pass the test. I mean, basically they're certified, and they can walk into any police department that would hire them, and that police department wants to hire them. That's how they get hired, and that's how a lot of people do get hired, period. And you're talking about smaller departments that have no ability to do, you know, to do a lot of this pre-screening testing, and then I think, my guess is they just assume the state's already done it. Well, as you can see by this discussion, the state has not done it.
Can you envision a scenario where you raise the standards as a way of weeding them out, but they meet all the standards and we have the same number of academies as we do today?
Yeah, we could, and again, that's, you know, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. It just, there's certain consequences behind that. One is that the cost of increased scrutiny is going to go up by the number of however many academies you have, and it's just the fact of life. But no, I don't, you know, again, I don't have any preconceived notion about how we get there. Part of the discussion about how many academies we have is not per se whether it's good or bad, it's how we get to where we want to get to. Look, states do it differently. Kentucky's got 888 hours, I think. They have 4 places in the state of Ohio, or state of Kentucky, where you can get trained. 4. You know, so that's their model. They also have a dedicated fund of money to do it. My understanding is they tax the you know, insurance policies. You know, I think that's probably a non-starter in Ohio, so yeah, probably not going to happen. But I'm just saying, every state's got to figure it out how they do it. Anybody else?
Can you give me an idea of how much of concern you had going into this process about overcompensating, causing a police officer to second guess himself, hesitating when he shouldn't hesitate? And is there anything among these recommendations that you might have concerns could lead to that?
I mean, we wanted to be fair with any of the recommendations that we might ultimately you know, present to the Attorney General, which is why we did our due diligence. You know, we've met with the police unions in the state, we've met with the Buckeye State Sheriff's Association, the Chiefs Association, so all the law enforcement agencies that we thought were stakeholders. We wanted to get, you know, their position on whether or not the road we were trying to travel was going to cause them any kind of consternation. And we did not get any of that from anywhere. So maybe it was, you know, kind of false hope, but we felt pretty confident that we weren't going to be stepping on anybody's toes, that we were going to do what was fair. But at the same time, we also believe that law enforcement officers need to have some skin in the game. And what that means is, you know, I mean, everybody wants money to pay for everything law enforcement officers do. You know, if you have to go back for your annual recertification, if you're a social worker, you got to pay for that 40 hours of training as a social worker. And just about every other profession that requires CEUs has to do that. So we want, you know, the officers in this state to be somewhat vested in their careers as an individual, and not just thinking that everything that needs to happen, both from the individual and the police department's perspective, has to be given to them. We want to supplement what police departments do, and we will do that. But not everything might be a cost that is going to come from a source outside that local jurisdiction.
And how much of this is affected by staffing? Is it the same situation for a one-man police force as it is for one with 100 policemen?
Well, and that's why I think we have to be innovative. One of the innovations that we talked about was how police departments, combine their resources regionally. And the chief officer does that right now with some of the police departments in the northern part of the northern suburban police departments in Ohio. So, we may, ask agencies for those smaller police departments, to partner with contiguous police departments or police departments that might can benefit from their resources. So we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We want to make sure that we look at all the possible ways that we can tackle these tough issues.